with.
Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
The male side of the Battle for Atlantis, the holiday tournament in the Bahamas, men's basketball. I just saw a promo on ESPN. And I don't know who was doing the promo, but were you watching? What was the animal beside him? He was at a pool.
I was not.
Was that a sea otter? Was that a seal? What was that animal that was right next to him? If anybody else was, watching in the background while you're listening to us, let me know. It's kind of a very curious scene. Huh. All right, top 5 at 5, better late than never. We will have Lavelle at the bottom of the hour. If you have a lot on your plate, we can, extend it. That's okay, too. So I'm leaving it up to you.
All right, we'll start here.
Time now for the obligatory Kevin Fallness Minnesota Wild mention.
We're off today, right?
We're off today.
Yeah.
All we do is shut people out, though.
Oh, that's true.
Puck through center ice for Scheifele. Scheifele walks his way in, right circle, shot is high and wide. And the final seconds here ticking down as Ogren tries to jar one out the center, and that does it. The Minnesota Wild pick up their NHL-leading 5th shutout win of the year. Jesper Wallstedt now with his 4th career whitewashing, 3 of them this season, as the Wild beat the Jets for the first time in the last 10 tries in the all-time season series. They shut out the Winnipeg Jets here at Canada Life Center, 3-0 the final.
How about that?
You go on the road, you beat a divisional opponent, a team who's had your number for a while now. My sources also tell me that Jesper Wallstedt is joining Wild Weekly tonight.
Oh, that's huge.
So
that's
a big
massive.
Get. It's a big get. The Wild back in action.
By the way, has he participated in enough games to qualify for goals against, like goaltending status in the individual stats at the position?
I think so.
Okay. I don't know how
I know
that
he's
works.
near the top.
Well, he's got to be. Yeah, for sure.
The Wild back in action. It's the hated Blackhawks in Chicago.
Is that a night
7:30
game?
puck drop
Tomorrow night.
Yep.
Okay.
7:30.
All right. Fair enough.
What's not to love? Wild are rolling. It's
well, there isn't anything to not enjoy at this point. We've all been around this game long enough to know that it's going to be about. Now, is it realistic to maintain this pace? No. But it's all about teams have hot streaks. They have cold streaks. This one was dramatically needed by this franchise for all the obvious reasons. And so that's why I will not minimize its significance at all. But it's also, late November. And so the issue is going to be how long can you ride this high? How much can you sustain things? How consistent can you be? I know for you, the Wallstedt story is big, but it might not be as big as the Urhoff story, the Urhoff emergence.
Do we have our new number 1 center?
Well,
people are asking.
We didn't. How long have we been clamoring for one?
Yeah,
and now we got it. Turns out we got him right in front of our noses.
Have 2 because I like Marco Rossi as well.
Are you starting to say too much talent on this club?
How are we going to play them?
My God, you've gone from being Mr. Negative to now. We're on the way to winning the cup.
Yeah, they'll lose one game and it'll come back. Don't worry.
That's true.
Your Timberwolves, speaking of Mr. Negative.
Oh, man.
So the last 2 times they played the Sacramento Kings, it was nothing. It was a 124-110 win. Before that, 144-117. That was November 9th. All of a sudden, they're struggling. They lose in Sacktown. I'm assuming that's what they call it. In overtime, 117-112.
They seem to have this game under complete control, and just a series of misplays down the stretch, some sloppy turnovers again, and coming on the heels of the Phoenix meltdown, which was was it 8 with 50 seconds to go or 9, whatever it was. We didn't even get that game to OT, which is fairly sad. Here's why I think it means more or should be more concerning. This year, unlike the last year certainly, and the year we got Rudy, you could use the excuse the first quarter of the season that, look, got new people, big dramatic changes to personnel, and that's going to take some time to figure out. We didn't have that kind of turnover this year. We didn't have any traumatic trade where people have to get used to their roles. We got basically the same team. Gone, but basically the same team. And that's, to me, why there's less of an excuse for these ups and downs. Now, that's you could say the first time in the case of Sacramento that they have lost to a losing team, they've been better about their maturity in that regard. But nevertheless, a bad look when they just look kind of rudderless. You don't ever want to be the team that looks like they're coming unglued. And they have in both of those games. And the Phoenix game, of course, against a much better Phoenix team. That was another team with a winning record. So the good news is if we needed a game to get everybody's attention, we have it. I think our next night out is at Oklahoma City, is it not?
It is. It'll be on the Timberwolves channel, the iHeartRadio app. They do have the injury report. Freeman available with a face mask. Zakarsky out. That's your Wolves injury report.
I thought somebody else, I thought there was another, well, I can't remember. Maybe it was a Vikings injury I was thinking about. All right, you want to end it here? And then do you have anything else you want to get to? Because we still got another segment before Lava.
We could extend it. I've got 3 more.
You got plenty. That's good. Well, we'll get a break in, try to stay somewhat on schedule. Let me know if the Snownomi is headed your way. I got a text about an hour ago saying it was just hitting St. Cloud. So is that the snow line, or is it getting ever closer? We'll get in, hopefully, answers to those questions and then prepare for Lavelle as well. Stay tuned.
Man. Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
A little bonus, Top 5 at 5 material as we prepare for a visit with Lavelle at the bottom of the hour. You said you had 3 more items to include?
I do. Please tell me you weren't forced to watch Monday Night Football last night.
I had
it was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't. Who played? I don't even remember now.
Carolina.
Yeah,
went to San Francisco.
That's it. I thought for a minute, especially given 3 interceptions by Niners guy in the first half, that there was a chance Carolina could steal the game, but it ended up being, like you say, kind of a snoozer in the second half because it didn't appear that Carolina ever really joined the battle.
Well, that was the thing. The defense did.
Yes.
And when you throw 3 interceptions, you're gifting them. You're letting them back into the game. But Bryce Young, he had a couple good throws, but for the most part was not. The entire Carolina offense wasn't in it. I was rooting very hard for Carolina as someone who hates the 49ers with a burning passion.
You do? You really?
Oh, I can't stand them.
Bad, huh?
Well, they beat us in the playoffs every year.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stand them.
Yeah, they're a well-run organization.
Yeah, so...
Well,
a loss would have been nice.
A lot for you. It would have been very good. Do you guys play them the rest of the year, regular season? The Bears have the Niners on the schedule.
I don't believe we do.
I know that. Given the Purdy interceptions, he actually, I think, was lucky he didn't have 5 picks in the first half. Mm-hmm. And they mentioned on the broadcast he's fearless, and I guess that's good in a way. But then there's times where you think maybe they'd like him to be a little less reckless. McCaffrey still looks pretty. Awfully good, man. What a versatile ball player he is.
The other NFL note that I had, it's the battle of the toe injuries between Bengals and Ravens, because now Lamar has a toe injury, apparently. He said, quote, "I just got fell on, but I'm good, though. The toe's good." And John Harbaugh said it looked very good in Tuesday's practice. So you've got Joe Burrow coming off of a toe injury, which I still don't. He came out in his presser and said, well, I'm a football player. If I'm healthy, I want to play. Can't ask me to not be a competitor. I get all that. And that's one of a million reasons that I'm not out there. Well, but from a franchise perspective,
I get what you're saying.
Why would you risk
What's their record? 3-7?
3-8.
3-8. Yeah, that's that's quite a hill to climb. And aren't they missing? Who's their best receiver? Who's the guy?
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, isn't he out?
Well, he got suspended.
That's what. Yeah. So, I mean, look, I'm a guy who rips load management, and so there's a part of me that says, well, you people pay money for these games, and they're not discounted without Joe Burrow being in the game, and so there's a part of me that says, well, if you're healthy enough, at some point you got to go out and play. The interesting thing is Burrow's future, because there are people who think maybe the Bengals might make a move on him, and let's face it, everything quarterback related is in play again for the Vikings. Everything. And I know that's not how we wanted it. The idea was you finally are going to have a franchise guy. You're going to be able to do it the Green Bay way where there's no speculation on that. But right now, there has to be all options on the table for the Vikings moving forward. And I'm not saying they could get Burrow. I don't even know what the price would be. And he's obviously very expensive. But at some point, I'm sure it's the old, well, we pay you to play. You kind of have to play. This might not be the best circumstance, however.
Yeah, but you could just look ahead to 26. But anyways.
Yeah.
Another classic case of didn't need him. The Boston Red Sox are moving heaven and earth.
Saw that.
Not really. To acquire Sonny Gray.
Yeah, in a trade, right?
Yes. So
is it done yet, or is it just heavily rumored?
I believe it's done.
Okay.
St. Louis receives left-handed prospect Brandon Clark and right-hander Richard Fitz. That's a fun name.
I don't think Sonny. I don't think he had a great season. I thought we talked about him during the season. I'll have to look up his numbers. I don't think he had a great year.
Yeah.
But we never really replaced him. The depth that he afforded us back in a day where we felt like we might actually be trying to go big time, just a little bit, not big time in an LA Dodgers way, but nevertheless big time for us. And it's fairly clear that ship has sailed. By the way, a lot of snow reports. I asked for them. Snowing real bad in Alexandria. Freeway is bad. Joe in Aiken writes, definitely a snowami here. Marshall, strong wind, snow/rain.
I'm trying to drive to Iowa after the show, so I'm hoping I can go.
Well,
it could be a disaster.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting direction. I have no idea.
Yeah. I think it's once you're past Faribault,
you're going to be okay.
Then it's over.
Yeah,
but I just got to get there.
Well, I will say I don't remember how many Christmases ago. We were driving rather than flying to Chicago, and snow was in the area. So the bit was, what are we going to do? And my sister said, look, I think you can get behind it if you go through, through Iowa for a while and circle. And sadly, I believed her. It was a disaster. In fact, it was so bad where we ended up with, we literally had to get off the road because the road was closed and spend the night. And we were lucky to get a hotel room. It was the last hotel room in this particular place. I don't remember what town it was in. And
35 was closed?
Yes.
Probably Mason City.
The kicker, might have been, yeah. The kicker was that they didn't, we had our dog with us. We had Wrigley, and would have been Wrigley? No, it might have been Rainey. It might have been the previous dog. Regardless, we had to, what are we going to do? We didn't leave the dog in the car, so we had to sneak the dog in one of the back entrances because we had nowhere else to go. So beware of the back door play where, we're just going to get behind it and everything's going to be fine. Maybe it'll be true, but just do your due diligence on that.
I'm just hoping I can get out of town before it makes it to
So this was going to be tonight?
6:30.
6:30. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
How far of a drive is it supposed to be?
3 and change.
Okay.
So it's just get on 35 and keep going, basically.
Well, that's, I guess, all you can do. All right, let's do this. Pause. That's it?
Yep, that's it.
Come back and chat with Lavelle. Bonus time because we're off on Friday. I think we got football. I think it's Black Friday football, NFL. Bears at Philadelphia is going to be on the Fan. There may be some best of in there as well. Let's catch up with our old buddy Lavelle E. Neal III. He's next.
Man.
The Fan welcomes some great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. Guns N' Roses will be there August 8th. Leonard Skinner and Foreigner August 16th. Motley Crue August 21st. Get complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the calendar page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Well, it sounds like the Snowami is coming. We'll see what we end up with. I think the current forecast for the Metro is 3 to 6 inches of snow. That would be Snowami worthy. The bad news is we're not going to probably be able to name it until early next week. But that might dovetail nicely. In other words, if the Snowami is legit, and Brosmer is legit on Sunday, then we know what we're naming the first Snowami of the year, correct?
I mean, I had another naming suggestion.
JJ related?
Potentially.
Yeah, there's no question. That's the leader in the clubhouse right now. The X factor is, now if Brosmer's just ordinary or terrible and they get killed, then there would be no need to put Brosmer back in the mix.
And I was just going to do Snowami Parsons. That's what I was going to suggest, because that just overwhelmed Minnesota.
Yeah, you love that, don't you? Why do you like that?
I don't know.
Lavelle E. Neal III usually joins us on Friday, but we are preempted the day after Thanksgiving, a day we usually are out for football. In fact, I think right here on the Fan, we're going to have Lavelle's Bears taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. That's the Black Friday game that starts Central Time around 2, if I'm not mistaken. So that would enter into bumper-to-bumper territory as well. Lavelle, kind enough to adjust his schedule to join us today. I just didn't feel it right on a holiday weekend to not have you on, man. You're too important to the show. You're too much of a tradition in the show for a Thanksgiving week for not having you on at all. So there you have it, and we're glad you were able to work it out. Now, it sounds like you, before, when it was just rain, got caught up in a lot of bad traffic. It took me forever to get here today, and again, this is all before the snow hit. So where were you coming and going to? What was your disaster?
Yeah, it took me 55 minutes to get from downtown Minneapolis to Inver Grove Heights.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, it was bumper to bumper the entire way. And then twice we had to clear out for squad cars on the way to whatever emergency they were trying to cover. And then Highway 52 was kind of full. It kind of, after we got past Plato, it opened up a little bit. So, but yeah, I was wondering about the reason. Are people out because they're worried about the snow tomorrow and they're trying to get things done early?
Yeah.
Or is Tuesday becoming a new Wednesday before
Yeah, I think it is.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
And so now people are just going to, like, stay home on Wednesday, not go to work. Actually, my sister doesn't have school, so she doesn't have to work.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're treating Tuesday like Wednesday now and just going to get everything done on Tuesday and just pack it in on Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
I think that's the trend. I don't know if we can prove it, but I think there's probably something to what you say. Let's get this out of the way early. This is from, is it 651 guy? Yes. What was Lavell's analysis of the Loons playoff game last night? How did they get more scoring? Is Dane St. Clair coming back? Spill the garbanzo beans, Lavelle.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have an Apple TV package, so I was unable to watch the game. I was trying to. Oh. I know. I got everything else. I don't have that. I'm glad that MLS is taking it off of paywall next year.
Oh.
So if you have regular Apple TV, which I have, you don't have to pay the extra for the MLS package.
I see.
Next year. So I think that's a smart move on their part. They need to get more eyeballs on this sport. So they're trying to grow. They just announced a huge initiative today in cahoots with MLS and the women's professional soccer leagues in order to identify talent and make it as cheap as possible for kids to start playing the game in order to grow the game. So that's encouraging. So they got to get eyes on the product here. But based on what I was able to keep up with online during the game, it just the Loons outshot San Diego. I think San Diego scored one goal on their only shot on goal yesterday or Monday. Yeah, Monday was yesterday. And so that's disappointing. They had a couple of chances. Looked like they had a couple of their patented set pieces that didn't pan out. I don't know what Dane St. Clair's future is. He may be good enough to go to Europe at this point. He may want to take his game to the next level. You know, he saw his teammate, Tony Osoleni, make the trip over to Europe in the middle of the season. He might be headed there too. I mean, you can't. If you're the Loons, you know, you're happy for the guy to realize his dream, but it may be time. I mean, Dane is now, he's in that jet stream to be Canada's #1 goalkeeper. And so he's got to stay at sharp and be as challenged as much as possible. So I wouldn't be surprised if he moves on. I don't know what his contract situation is, but he's definitely at that point now where, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if a team in Europe gives him an offer.
What is the financial viability of the franchise like really solid now? I mean, are they in great shape, good shape, mediocre shape?
Well, now you're going to strike a nerve with the fan base. The Loons are one of the cheaper teams in the MLS.
Where they learned that from?
On, salaries and payroll, they're down toward the bottom end. I think they're down bottom 5. It may be worse than that. Blake may know for sure. But their payroll expenditure is not on the par with some of these other teams. They definitely cannot handle a messy contract, or even like with Toronto spending on players, or Atlanta is bringing Joseph Martinez back, or some of the other teams, LAFC bringing in players. Your boy Blake Bretmore's
Sonny,
buddy Stone is playing in LA now. He's making a pretty chunk of change. What is that, Brett? About $6 million a year?
It was quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, he's making it about 6. Vancouver just signed Mueller from Germany. He's making a pretty penny. the Loons have not fished in that deep end of the ocean yet for a super duper superstar, impact, super scoring guy. I think it's time to move the program in that direction. So hopefully they don't, twinify their payroll much longer and invest in better players.
Now, I'm wondering, it's interesting because other people are mentioning they believe you could have watched the game last night. Tell Lavelle I have regular Apple TV, and all I had to do was share my location with Apple, and last night's game was made available.
I wasn't aware of that. When I saw Apple TV, I was like, oh, I'm screwed here.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was on FS1, but it was not.
Right.
But when I saw Apple TV, I just figured it was on the paywall. So there were other things to watch last night. I watched the end of the doggone Wolves game, in which Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, all of a sudden, instead of wearing uniforms number 5 and 30, they started wearing number 9 and throwing picks and turning the ball over and blowing a 10-point lead with 3 minutes left to go. That's twice now. Those are 2 bad losses.
They are.
So I don't know what the hell's going on with them.
Yeah, it's not. It's the ability, just sort of the attention to detail and handling the ball, and it goes back to for much of the game, many of these games, Conley has some good moments, but then there's a lot of times where he's not the main guy. He's not even on the floor, and they get by well. But I do think there are times where, in crisis situations where the other team's upping the defense a little bit, it'd be helpful to have a purer point guard to help, maybe alleviate some of the pressure. I don't know where the answer is on that. I do know this.
How would you feel?
Go ahead.
How would you feel about, instead of a pure point guard, that they would have a John Paxson type to play off of Edwards?
Well, they always could use a dead ass shooter. There's no question about that. Dead eye shooter, I guess, is the better term. I mix the two too often. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I still wonder whether they expect too much of Anthony, because if you'll notice, some of his, he was over 40 again last night, but some of his shots, when things go bad, his shot selection has been sketchy, right? And sometimes he makes those shots anyway, and that's, I think, almost a curse, because then they're viewed as decent shots because he's taking them. And I think there's sometimes, he just they don't get good enough shots for him at the end of games. Hein had a lot about their pressure numbers, which it's astonishing. We're not that good last year, and yet they made it to the Final Four in terms of close games. I think the metrics are better this year, but the last 2 games have been awful down the stretch. Dumb turnovers, in a panic. So all the sorts of things that they should well be past, I mean, teams win and lose games, but they should be past losing that way.
Yeah, that's a troubling idea, the suggestion that there's a little bit of a regression in that regard with a team that should still be hungry about doing more than just getting to the Final Four. So, and that's when Ant's got to govern himself a little bit instead of putting on that hero cape. And all of a sudden, if things get tight, all of a sudden he's got to pull some magical thing out of his rear end to win this game. And when the best move may be to just run the offense and get Julius Randle in a good scoring spot, or get Dante DiVincenzo wide open give him an open look.
I don't disagree with that.
Catching Rudy running into the basket. So he's got to just be a little more, what's the word? Cerebral in those situations.
No question about it. I do know this. Brett Blakemore is predicting that the final regular season record for your Chicago Bears will be 8-9. Your thoughts?
Well, I heard that crap when I was in traffic, and I think his team lost to Cleveland, so anything is possible the rest of the season here. I predicted the Bears win one of the 2 games against the Packers. They beat Cleveland, and then if they can find one more win the rest of the way, that's 11 wins, and that might win the division. That just might win the division, because if you look at the remaining schedules for Detroit and for Green Bay, 3-3 ain't out of the record. Ain't out of the realm of possibility here. So if the Bears get 3 more wins, they could be kings of the North. And I think Brett has to realize that possibility that the Bears, who have not had their healthy, they have not been at full health all year, are starting to get close to that. You're going to see Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon in the starting lineup on Friday against Philadelphia, with T.J. Edwards not far behind. They're getting to the point here where they may finally get all the bodies back on the field at once, and you'll see the best version of the Bears.
Any rejoinder or response to that, Blakemore?
4 out of the last 5 games. Well, let's see. Saints, not good. Ravens, they lost. Then they barely beat Joe Flacco. They barely beat the Giants. Barely beat 9. And then they barely beat a Mason Rudolph-led Steelers. So it's not exactly a glowing resume.
The Packers have trouble against bad teams.
Yeah, but I believe in Jordan Love, and I don't believe in Caleb Williams. So there's that.
He's getting better. He's still not perfect.
Believing in Jordan Love, you believe in Jordan Love at your own risk, my friend.
Well, we'll see. We'll find out.
I'll go down with the ship.
Are people getting in this town, Lavelle, too excited about the prospect of a Max Brosmer start? What do you think?
Yeah, wasn't it inevitable? I mean, when Brosmer played well in preseason, the Brosmer chance started. I remember being at the stadium and listening to people talk about this thing. So, I was there trying to defend Sam Howell, who coughed up a lung and ended up getting traded to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And that allowed Brosmer to kind of end up on the roster. So, as soon as I was at TCO yesterday. I sat there when KLC said we put him on. As soon as he started building up to the end, and all of a sudden you get to the point in the middle of what he's saying, you're like, he's about to say concussion protocol, and he goes, "Yep, concussion protocol." And all of a sudden I saw Max Brosmer's face going, "Oh no, fans are going to be eating this one up all week." So, because I don't know if there any chance JJ can get out of protocol by Sunday. Historically, that's kind of tough to do. And with a younger guy, you want to be careful. So I think you have to expect an 80-20% chance, 80-20% chance that Brosmer's going to be the guy in Saturday at Seattle, which is a tall order for a first ever NFL start when you're an undrafted free agent quarterback.
Well, I think the other reason it's at minimum 80-20 is that he's not an established player who you can throw in without practice. So there's going to be every reason to believe that even if he gets declared fine as soon as Thursday or Friday, I think it's going to be easy to say, well, but he hasn't really practiced all week. He's already said that once before when he was coming off the knee injury. So I think all of that makes it easy. I don't think they're inventing this concussion protocol thing. I think they're at the mercy of what he told them, right? I mean, He said he got foggy. Did he? I don't have any idea. But once a player in this day and age goes down that road, you don't have any choice. Now, they might not mind it, again, that he's going to sit because right now he is not presentable, in my view, as an NFL quarterback. But the idea that they're inventing the injury, I don't buy. Are they nurturing it because it serves a purpose? That wouldn't, quite frankly, shock me either.
Well, here's the thing, though. Usually there's a cognitive baseline that is taken when you are 100% healthy that they use against you when you start having symptoms. So if something's off kilter, that's going to guide their decision-making here. So I don't think this is there's a conspiracy here. Although people started doubting, speculating that immediately upon the tweets being sent out from TCO once we learned that he was in protocol. So I don't think that's the case. And the other thing too, Dan, about this is that based on the practice schedule, today was going to be a light day. Wednesday's going to be the busiest day of the week. Thursday's Thanksgiving, and Friday's going to be a light day of practice. So I don't think, to speak to your point, that they would, if he was able to get cleared Friday, then he has just a light day of practice on Friday before going out to Seattle. I don't think they would want to push that too much in that situation.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. To me, what's interesting is that there are nationally folks who believe that McCarthy has been bad enough that his future, his viability as coming back as the sort of automatic number one guy is already in question. And, we were talking to Kevin Seifert earlier. The unknown question, the unanswerable question, is how things might have been different if Daniel Jones had accepted their offer. They got to remind folks, the Vikings made Daniel Jones a viable offer to stay. In fact, I think he ended up taking $1 million less a year to go to Indianapolis. Clearly, he felt, no matter what they said, that he'd have a better chance to win the job in Indy, and he was right, because McCarthy had kind of been anointed the guy, And the guy who was competing against in Indy had already been there 2 years. This is his third year. So it was easier for them to say, we're going to create competition. But the obvious question moving forward is, if you're going to bring McCarthy back, as we expect, to be to at least to perhaps be the quarterback next year, are you obligated to bring someone in a la a Daniel Jones, if possible, what that player represents, the kind of player that Jones, quarterback that he represents, to give yourself another option? Can the team afford to just say, we're seeing enough promise, we're anointing him for the second consecutive year, he's going to be our starter, and we're going to bring in a backup who can help if we have injury issues, but we are not going to have that individual compete for the job? What do you think?
I think that you're suggesting that Carson Wentz comes back next year. Possibly. I agree. I think you have to give the kid competition, regardless of what the situation is. Is it because he hasn't thrown a lot of passes, and a player like Broser is 25 and has attempted twice as many passes as JJ did in college? Is it because of that? Is it because of something else? I just think that they've got to bring in more competition next year. Rosewood could be part of that mix too. And to be honest with you, Dan, going forward, unbeknownst to how severe the concussion is, I would start both JJ and Brosmer at times during the rest of the season. I look at both of them. Mm-hmm. You got a guy you like in Brosmer, maybe he can play. Maybe if he's in the right situation, he can show out. And with this season being over, all right, let's be honest here. This team's not going into the postseason. You could use the last 5 or 6 games to look at each one of these guys and start putting up some data points that can guide you through the offseason in terms of what vets you bring in and how you approach the quarterback position. Because they definitely goofed us up during the offseason, messing with a 14-win team and not bringing back either one of the veteran quarterbacks. Or that obviously I think both Darnold and Jones, because they're in the building, they knew how they felt about JJ and figured they had no chance. I think if they had to do it over again, they would probably say, look, you're going to be the preferred candidate. We're going to look at the kid, but we'll bring you back as a preferred candidate. Maybe Daniel Jones stays under that type of designation. But I do believe that we've got to start looking at backup quarterbacks across the league to see what veterans are going to possibly be available as a free agent to come in and bring some experience to, this quarterback room. I mean, the Bears have Case Keenum, who's happily sitting there as a third-string quarterback just to lend his expertise to both Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent while probably learning Ben Johnson's system so he could probably one day be a head coach. I wouldn't be surprised. You got to find a guy who can be part of that as well as possibly be ready to start if either one of the kids aren't ready next year.
Given the recent recovery of the local hockey team, are you going to be forced to write your second, maybe it's time to adjust our expectations of the Minnesota Wild? Are you going to have to change it back in the other direction now? What do you think?
That's the great thing, Dan, about taking a stand on something, because if you are wrong, then you get to write the apology column. That means you get 2 columns off of one idea.
Very true.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that may be on the docket here once we get into January and this thing really looks real. But right now, Zuccarello getting healthy has been a factor. You're off getting minutes on a quality line, not being buried on the fourth line. Mm-hmm. We're seeing his talent, and the Great Wall of St. Paul is really a thing. Jesper Wallstedt looks like he is the real deal. And if you have 2 goalies that you are comfortable throwing out there, that's a big advantage to get you through the trials, ups and downs of a regular season, man. So if they can avoid any further injuries, and these young guys could continue to take steps forward, the Wild are setting themselves up to go on a big run here. It did not look good the first month of the season, and so I felt I had every reason to write that column about we may have to adjust our expectations downward, but this looks like they're showing signs of being in a legitimate turnaround, and it looks like something they can't sustain. And it starts with having 2 strong goalies instead of 1. So let's see where this ride takes them. Let's see how they get through the holiday season here and how they get chugging into January, and we'll assess them then.
If the University of Minnesota knocks off Wisconsin on Saturday at the original bank, will you write early next week, it's time for another PJ Fleck contract extension?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The man his time is unbelievable. Whenever there's like a decent job available, his name gets somehow his name gets tossed out there, and here comes an extension. And I think Mark Coyle, like, he was like boasting about this, like it was a good thing. Like, he has like extended PJ like at least once every 18 months or something like that. I think I heard him say that. I'm like, really? Is that something you're really proud of? UCLA job came up a couple years ago. It gets extended. Got extended other times. I'm not on it. I don't know if they're going to beat Wisconsin, although I'm still absolutely flabbergasted, dismayed, and just infuriated that Illinois could not beat Wisconsin last week.
Yeah.
I thought that was a layup. I thought at worst that they would fail to cover but still win. And I'm sitting there looking at Wisconsin. I'm looking at their goofy offense. I'm like, how in the hell they having success against Illinois? That was just really disappointing to me. So, I think the Gophers have a chance to beat Wisconsin. I still don't think highly of them. But you never know when you have another young quarterback in Drake Lindsey, learning his way. It's good to see Darius Taylor's back on the field. The defense has got to stand tall. I think Smith is going to have to wreak havoc, against, that Badgers offensive line. I don't know what the spread is. Blake, do you know what the spread is?
Yeah, we checked yesterday.
I keep saying Blake Brettmore. I'm sorry, Brett.
That's close enough. I think wasn't it Gophers by like 2.5?
After I savaged your team, that's only fair.
Yeah.
I will look 1 second. Stand by. I think it was around that range. Where is this?
Yeah,
game?
I think I predicted it close to right. I think I might have said 2.
1.5.
It's 1.5.
Gophers 1.5.
Even though they beat Illinois last week and they're able to stomp the field and everything and jump around, I'm still not impressed with their team. I think
they got a legit defense.
Win that game.
They got a legit defense. They also beat Washington on the road. I think they've played better the last few weeks. I think it's quite losable. It should be winnable for the Gophers, but I'm just trying to head off the notion that we should hold a parade for them if they knock off Wisconsin at home, which, given their 0-5 road record, is, I would say, the very least they could do.
Well, I think the Gophers should win that game, and if they do win, we just have to ignore what PJ is going to say after the game, because he is going to
that's true.
beat his chest and saying, we are a good football team. I know our record doesn't say it, but we are a good football team. Whereas, we all know the reality is you are what your record says you are.
Right.
And he's going to argue that we're a bowl team. I said, well, everybody gets in the bowl. As soon as you get to 6 wins. You got 60 schools that make bowls? How many bowl games are there?
I don't know anymore. 30. There's 32 bowls, I think. I think it's 64. I don't have any idea anymore. It's in that range.
64 teams go to a bowl game. There's nothing. That's not an elite group. That's not.
No, it's not.
No. So you're there just to have an event in someone else's town. It's not like you're not like a number 5 ranked Oregon Ducks or something. You're just there to satisfy the Motor City Bowl people, or whatever bowl you may end up with. So, but if you asked me to bet on the game, I probably would take the Gophers to cover at 1.5. The Badgers can be tricky, especially they were running like some weird option thing against Illinois that was working. So they got to watch out for that. And defensively, I think it's going to be up to the Gophers to kind of slow the Wisconsin attack down, but I think they can win the game.
Yeah, well, their defense has been dreadful through much of, certainly on the road this season. So I don't think you can count on anything. They should be able to handle the Wisconsin offense, but we'll have to see. On that note,
Anthony Smith's like one of the best defensive linemen in the Big Ten, and the other kid, I can't remember his name. He's not bad either.
Well, we're too young.
Devin Eastern.
We're too young. We got a lot of young people. They're lining up in the wrong place, and you guys want everything, like it's done in 15 minutes. These things take time. It's year 9. I mean, you got to give PJ a chance to regroup and redevelop. Even though, of course, we're in the age of the transfer portal, right, where you're supposed to be able to make moves almost instantly. But I digress.
Well, I had people got mad at me last year. I wrote a column and said, look, I don't expect PJ to be like a top 10 program every year, but I think every 3 years or maybe 4 years, he should be able to roll up on 10 wins and possibly be a threat to getting the CFP. I don't think that's unreasonable to ask of him. I'm not asking him to all of a sudden turn his program to Ohio State, but just every now and then have a year where you could get into the final whatever 12 it is or whatever the CFP is. So that's all I'm asking.
That's not too much. No, I think that's very fair. Here's my fantasy for the Gopher game. Is it an 11 o'clock game? I think it's 11 against Wisconsin, but will you double check the Gopher time? Whatever time it is, here's my fantasy. The Gophers win the game and the fans storm the field.
2:30.
Oh, it's 2:30. My apologies. I don't know why I thought it was 11. 2:30 this week. That's my fantasy, because that will be a lot of fun to mock and ridicule on a 2-hour edition of Sunday Sermons.
Who has the axe right now?
I think we do.
Yeah, Gophers.
We won last year, I think, yeah. And then here's what else we're going to hear. If they win, here's what we're going to hear on PJ Fleck's show. When they got here, when I got here, they said all that matters is we knock off Wisconsin, and I keep knocking off Wisconsin, and now people are asking why we can't beat Iowa. They always change it. They always move the goalposts on me. He's already done that 10 times. He'll do it 10 more.
Yeah, coaches get in trouble when they make those initial grandiose statements.
Yes.
I remember Lovie Smith's press conference when he was hired by the Bears. We're going to beat Green Bay. And he actually had success against Green Bay.
They did eventually, yeah. Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah, but Ben Johnson came out and said, we're going to take the North and never give it back. And I'm like, okay, now you're really setting the bar high here.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And we'll chat next week. Thanks for helping us out today. Appreciate it.
No problem. I'll be in Seattle this week for the Viking game, so I'll have fresh Viking minutia when I come back.
Safe travels to Seattle, to the great Pacific Northwest. And are you going to go to the Space Needle? Space Needle still exists in Seattle, doesn't it?
Now I'm flying in early Saturday evening. I'm probably gonna get there in time to just grab some dinner and get ready for the game the next day. So
all right, fair enough.
That's how I'm rolling this week, and I'm taking a red eye back, so I'm not really spending that much time in Seattle this time.
Okay, fair enough. We will chat soon. Safe travels out there. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Lavelle E. Neal III on what's kind of essentially our pre-Thanksgiving edition of the Bumper to Bumper program for 2025. We'll come back with maybe even a leftover Vikings talking point from yesterday. I think we got the most of them, but there might be one more we can include, and maybe some final thoughts for at least today on the the Vikings quarterback situation, and perhaps we kind of redo a rant from the first segment of the program, Gopher related. Don't go.
The Friday Football Feast is taking over Buffalo Wild Wings Mall of America this Black Friday. You can join PA, Nordo, Alec Lewis as they break down Sunday's showdown with the Super Chickens, the Seahawks. Doors open at 8 a.m. Great food, drinks, prizes, including Train Hope shoes, gift cards all morning long. KFAN.com keyword calendar for more details. KFAN.com keyword calendar.
641 guy writes, Brett Blakemore, safe travels. Just went Albert Lee to Mason City, dry and 40 degrees.
Yes.
Looks like you have until about 9 p.m. That's cutting it close, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all I got to do is just get to Albert Lee.
Yeah.
So we should be okay. Then it's smooth sailing once you hit the border.
Yeah.
Your troubles are behind you.
What does this mean? Pete and Woodbury, two people on KFAN who shouldn't talk hockey, PA and Lavelle. Why? I got no problem with either one of them talking puck. These puck snobs, they think they're guardians of the game. It's okay for casual hockey fans to get involved in the conversation.
I'm still out of the text line, so I didn't know where you were going. I thought they were ripping you and me. Well, that's why I laughed.
Wouldn't be the first time.
PA and Lavelle.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that indeed takes place. We will have time to talk preview on Sunday one more time, the Vikings and Seattle game. And so some of this we can save until then. Look, I get it. I am not going to hammer Vikings fans who are excited about the prospect of Max Brosmer starting. There may be some who are irrational about what he represents and will lose their minds, or they will overreact if he plays competently. But we watch these teams, especially when it comes to professional football, every week, man, with a great deal of passion. And if you're a Vikings fan, you're beaten down right now, right? I mean, nothing is working. The team is out of the playoff chase already. even before we get to Thanksgiving. And the quarterback, the franchise savior quarterback, does not look close to ready to just being out on the field with a starting unit. Okay? All of that, I think, is absolutely, I think, undeniable on the basis of what we've seen. So you're just looking for something, right? You're looking for some morsel of hope, even if you're smart enough to know it's not probably realistic to think that Max Brosmer can be the guy forever. But you say, throw him out there. Might be kind of fun. It'll at least maybe feel differently. And I think some of it is, well, let's see. Let's see a different quarterback work with the same supporting cast. And so if that's the way you're thinking, I can't get mad about that, even if I think some of the interest in Brosmer, backup quarterback syndrome interest, goes well beyond the normal because it's a guy who played here a year ago. And I think there are a lot of people who kind of jumped on it because they've just jumped on it. It's become quite fashionable. But human nature being what it is it's fair in that you get beaten down over the course of a long season. So even if you know your team's not going to make the playoffs this year, a year after 14-3, you're just looking for something you can cheer about, get excited about, lose yourself in that will feel a little less heavy. Because right now, everything Vikings related feels heavy. So we've seen it before. Even if it doesn't always make sense, going to Seattle, a tough place to play, against a team that has one of the better records in all of the National Football Conference. We've seen it before, that for whatever reason, a quarterback who's got nothing to lose comes out there and makes a couple of plays. Maybe the Vikings, perish the thought, get a takeaway. And you're suddenly feeling a little bit better about things. I don't think anybody can be mad about that at all. And I think if you are a McBobo, there's a part of you that should say, I still think I believe in him, and I've tried to tell people, well, the receivers haven't helped him out enough. The offensive line hasn't helped him out enough. But let's see what happens with somebody else there. If he gets crushed, if Brosmer is sacked 6 times and he throws 3 picks, then maybe you start saying, well, there's a lot of infrastructure problems that we have not been paying attention to. So all that's fair game. We'll get into more of that on a 2-hour edition of Sunday Sermons post-Thanksgiving. A couple final thoughts, Thanksgiving, planes, trains, and automobiles thoughts when we return. And we will remind you of the opening rant of the program related not so much to the professional football team, but to the college team prepared to host Wisconsin on Saturday. Don't go.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
Sponsored by American Pressure.
Outstanding array of guests, including a surprisingly emotional Carl Gerbschmidt in tears for part of the award-winning predictions segment. If you missed it, it'll be podcasted and it'll be available to you after the show. I highly recommend it. Who knew that bringing up John Candy and the motion picture Planes, Trains, and Automobiles would have such an impact on Gerby and the predictions segment? Also, at 4 in studio, a good solid hour of Vikings conversation with the inimitable Kevin Seifert. And then Lavelle gave us some bonus time today, given we are preempted for pro football. Lavelle's Bears against the Eagles. So we are off Friday. He moved up to today, and we kind of just the usual smorgasbord of sports discussion, or sports topics, I guess one could say, with Lavelle. We are back for Sunday Sermons, and it will be a 2-hour edition because the Vikings will be in Seattle for the late game. So you have that to look forward to if you're going to miss us the next several days, because we are off tomorrow, Thanksgiving, and Friday as well. The early rant had to do with more of the same. I shouldn't even let it affect me at this point, but every once in a while there's just a cumulative effect where you feel like you have to respond, and it's the ongoing gibberish from PJ Fleck on 0-1. I don't put losses together. 0-1 in the championship season. We got a lot of young players, and they're lining up wrong. And the lack of willingness to just flat out say, I've been here 9 years. I think we've done pretty good work. the work this year, especially defensively, has not been acceptable. It hasn't really been to our standard. I can't pretend otherwise, given what has happened in not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 road games. I think that would be so refreshing. Beyond the old, because everybody does the old what's on me, but I more of just an acknowledgement. Doesn't mean he has to bash his club. The nonsense that he continues to go with, that we're a very good football team or a good football team. Like he, I guess, thinks no one watches the games. I don't understand what he expects. And I'll say again, I think even discerning Gophers fans every once in a while have to roll their eyes and say, I've watched, who are you fooling with this? It's not going to be, it's not worth bringing up youth 9 years into your program in the period of the transfer portal. It just isn't. And why he continues to go down that road, in part because I don't think he ever really gets challenged on it. And he's so used to it that that's what he goes with. But the die has been cast. The season cannot be saved by beating Wisconsin. You can talk about the rivalries. I've been around here for 40 years or close to it regarding the rivalries, and I get it. But that does not erase what has been a series of non-competitive performances on the road. Not just losing on the road, but not even being competitive on the road, allowing the opposing quarterbacks to average almost 80% completion percentage. That's just not workable. That's not Big Ten level, even second tier of the Big Ten as well. So there we have it. I just, everyone's, it's not new, but it stands out, and sometimes more than others, and this is a good example of exactly that. Northwestern had nothing going offensively, and they looked like an offensive juggernaut against the Gophers. I think second straight week we gave up over, well, I know against Northwestern it was close to 500 yards, 550 yards, and we never really stopped them for any significant part in a game in which they had nicely come from behind and built I think it was a 15-point lead, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 28-13, and we couldn't hold on to it. We couldn't come close to holding on to it. So it's just some sort of acknowledgement that this is more than, hey, we had a lot of guys who did a lot of good things. We're not playing Little League football here, man. This isn't Pop Warner League. This is major college football. And this is a guy who said before the season began, what? Be delusional. In other words, think the unthinkable. And it seemed to be that message was, why can't we be the Indiana of this year? And they obviously have not come close to being the Indiana of this year. So that'll also be available to you as well. What do we have coming up next on The Fan? Do we know, Brett Blakemore?
We got Vikings country, Andrew DePaula.
Oh, nice.
Long snapper.
Okay.
Somewhere in St. Paul, I believe.
Long snap. I wonder if there are analytics for long snappers. I guess there probably are.
Probably
for everything else there is, yeah, for efficiency. And
sure.
I mean, do you evaluate? Is there a way to objectively evaluate, like distinguish one snap from another, like a great snap from a good snap? Is that part of long snapping analytics?
I'll leave that to the
maybe
John
that'll
Gruders
be discussed.
Maybe
that'll be discussed tonight. Even better. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Safe travels.
Thank you.
And we will see you again on Sunday. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners as well. We appreciate the text today. And yeah, if you have not seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I envy you. And I would hardly recommend you find a way to do it with or without the people around you. It's a terrific film that's about more than the comedy. It's John Candy at his emotional best late in that film. Thanks again for watching. Thank you for listening. And we will talk to you Sunday morning at 9.